Welcome to Fan Flak. Yes, it's us again. My lovely and talented co-host, Mark Tanner. And we have with us today Melissa Bowersock, who's sort of pinch hitting for someone who had to cancel at the last minute. So we're very grateful to her. And I know you're very grateful to her because otherwise you'd have to sit here and listen to us.
Well, glad to be here.
And we'll be talking about her books and all kinds of things today. Now, Mark, did you have an intro you wanted to do? Is there anything you're... No? Okay. So it's just me. All right. Melissa, you are able to write a lot, obviously. How many books do you have in print?
Do you know what? I keep losing track, so I have to recount. I think I'm at 53.
Whoa, that's amazing. When
I
did
know.
you write?
You know, my first two books were published. My first book was published in 1981, and my second one was in 1984. So, I mean, 40 years. You know.
Oh, wow.
So when you look at it that way, it doesn't sound like an overwhelming amount. You know.
No, that's true.
Yeah. But 35 in the last 5 years. Yeah.
Wow.
With my series. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's even better than Lisa Smith with her, I used to call it the Book of the Month Club because she had to write a book every month.
Really?
And,
wow.
Yeah. And she'd come over and be sitting there scratching on a pad.
Well, the difference is Melissa probably writes all her own books, whereas you get to, like, Stephen King doesn't write any of his books.
Not anymore, no.
Have you read about that? He's got like a team of people that write for him, and then he goes back and he reads what they wrote and changes things so that it's like he likes, because he puts out so many books. There's no way an individual could write that much, I don't think.
Well,
without help.
I don't think I could never do that. I don't think I could ever hand an idea over to somebody else.
Well, I think in his case, there's some kind of, he's getting older. So,
yeah. Aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in his case, after the accident where he almost died, I mean,
yeah, right.
They honestly thought they were going to lose him. He's had some.
That's when he got hit by somebody.
He got hit by a car. Yeah.
He got hit by a character in one of his novels. He always says that because it's somebody who would be in one of his novels.
Was that Misery?
Yeah, exactly.
And
the bless his heart, he's has been in the past a brilliant writer. I think he's one of the best English stylists we've had.
Yeah.
But these days, I haven't read one of his in a long time. So,
he actually he lost me at Cujo.
Yeah.
I I was kind of pulling back, and then at Cujo I said, okay, that's enough, Yeah.
The last one I read, which was, to me, it was really stupid. Something about a hospital with a bunch of animals in it.
Was that Pet Cemetery or?
No, this was something else where there were these 3 animals that ran the hospital.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't know that one.
It was a really weird story.
Well, I think he lost me totally after Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Pet Sematary had some sections in there that are just amazing. And especially the passage where you believe for a little bit that Gage survived.
Uh-huh.
And then you fall into that hole where he is with the knowledge that he had died.
Okay.
There's aspects of that book that are amazing, but after that, he just, I think, wandered off in a weird wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the one where? What was the one where the aliens were in the woods and these people kept, and they were digging up holes and stuff and finding aliens or something? That was a weird. That was a weird. Yeah. I haven't read very many of his books. I read Lawnmower Man, the first one. That was pretty good. I guess he hated the remake of Lawnmower Man. He took his name off of it.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? The Stand will always be, I think, one of the best books ever written.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love
The Stand. I love, actually, Salem's Lot is, there's the haunting ambiance he gives that book. Yeah. He's a master at that kind of thing.
Right.
And, he in his day, he genuinely was one of the best American writers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we knew I knew the brother of one of the stars of The Stand. And, And his brother didn't have very much good to say about Stephen King.
Oh, really?
The one that played Balky on it was a comedy TV show with two guys, and he was a foreign guy that and his name was Balky on the show.
Yeah. Well,
he was
anything good to say about him either.
And he was in The Stand.
Yeah.
He was one of the actors in The Stand, and we knew his brother because his brother used to sell. His brother used to sell toys at the Glendale Toy Show, so that's how I knew him.
That's amazing how many actors do that. Well, it makes sense because they make their own schedule. But I have heard various things about Stephen King. I've heard really good stories. I mean, he pretty much self-supports the children's baseball leagues in his area and the libraries, and so he's good on that level. I don't know.
That's good.
And and people hate writers anyway. Do you find that, Melissa? Do you get a lot of that?
Tell me again that people hate writers?
People have a negative attitude toward writers.
No, I don't think I've run into that. No.
Yeah, I used to have a bit of that over Goodreads.
Yeah.
And of course, I made the mistake of disagreeing with one of the main honchos over there. So
yeah. Well,
that
I know.
Be a big part.
I can't even remember my first experience on Goodreads, but my take on it was that it was for readers, and they really kind of didn't want to get into it with writers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I taught self-publishing, I cautioned people about getting into Goodreads and definitely not going on saying buy my book, because they would get slammed. So it's almost like, we're two separate groups and we don't necessarily line up. So
yeah. Well, my issue was it was when the Dear Author stuff happened, and it became known that the people who ran Dear Author, which was supposed to be this benevolent organization that would find new writers and embrace them, well, what they were doing is inventing new writers with their, behind their own names or in front of their own names, and then marketing their own work, and it was all over the top. And I posted a bit on my blog regarding that, and that's when I got people come after me. But
Oh,
my
okay.
friend Lisa, who writes the Vampire Diary, or used to write the Vampire Diaries, they took a movie from her. She has said that she gets a lot of negativity, and I
Yeah.
think it just matter. It depends upon the genre you're writing in, and a lot of other
Mhm.
things too.
Yeah.
But we're nice people. And,
Yes. Yeah.
most of the writers I know now self-publish. I don't
Uh-huh.
know about you, Melissa,
Right.
but I mean, even people like oh, what is her name? Um, yeah, getting old, the brain's pooping out on me. Um, there's people who have published professionally for many years are now
Uh-huh.
going self-pub, and mainly because we find out that when we start looking at the numbers coming in,
Yes.
that we were stolen from.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think back to my first book, and it was published by a New York house.
yeah.
And I remember that I think I got 10 cents per copy until it sold something like 10,000. And then it went up to a quarter, you know.
Ooh.
And of course, my first book, I didn't care. I just wanted it out there. But yeah, with self-publishing, I mean, there are so many advantages,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
royalty rate, the responsiveness. If I publish a book and I find there's a typo in it, I can upload a new version and it's available in 6 hours.
Immediately. Yeah,
And with a publisher, that would take 6 months or a
easily.
year,
Yep.
if they even chose to do that. Yeah.
Well, I
So
have a
yeah,
book.
to me, it's a no-brainer.
I have a book floating around out there on Dark Shadows that I have tried for 20 years to get the publisher to change a typo, and it hasn't
Oh,
happened yet. So
yeah,
it
yeah. They're just not interested. Yeah,
they don't care as
and
long as it's spelling.
yeah,
And
and you know what? And having that control, I think, is everything. You
it
know,
is. And this
because even
nonsense
the titles, the way they're packaged, everything.
and this nonsense about oh, well, you're not a real writer if you're not. Bull.
Yeah,
It. There are people out there with thousands of books being sold who are self-published,
yeah.
and bless
Oh,
them.
sure.
It's the way to go. And
Yep.
the even it what I have a problem with, and I don't know how you feel about it. Um, these small houses that are really just
Uh,
names, and
small
they
presses.
take
Yeah.
yeah, and they take people's work and they publish it and scoop up a big portion of the profits. And
Yeah.
they're nothing more than Yes, Mark.
Didn't you do a book on Vanity Press a long time ago?
Oh yeah, yeah,
I thought I remembered you doing one,
yeah,
but then you couldn't market them.
yeah.
You had all these cases of books, but
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
went through that too. I published a couple through iUniverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, iUniverse. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was terrible. And it's like every other day I'd get an email saying, your books are going to be half price. Buy 10,000 copies today. And yeah, put them where? In my garage.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's why they had things like what was that place called? The Remainder Store.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We could go in there.
Need the new
somebody
iPhone
said-
14?
Connor, we don't need an iPhone 14.
Why?
Just
We got a party crasher.
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
Give me the new iPhone 14.
Don't yell at me.
Give me the new iPhone 14.
I'm not going to do that, Connor. I can't afford it. It's way too much money for grandma. If I had the money,
Order it online.
but you still have to pay for it, Connor. Okay?
Can you download Disney inside us?
It won't go on my phone because I don't have that.
Download 13 iOS.
Connor, don't yell at me. You're on TV. Do you think you look good doing that? No, you don't. Close the door. Close the door. Close the door.
Connor's autistic.
Connor, get out of my room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's okay, Mark.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Somebody's not happy.
And unfortunately, it's just part of when you work at home.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah.
I normally would have my cat crawling in and
Yeah.
going over, but I have the door shut. And the
Yeah.
cats can't open the door, at least.
Well, yeah, they can. I've got Lily sitting right outside. I've got a door to my office because this is the cat's safe room.
Yeah.
But Lily's laying right outside, and if I let her in, she'd be in my lap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that, that breed of dog is especially loving and.
Sorry about that.
No.
No, it's okay.
That's life, honey.
Yep. That is life.
Well, see, my grandson's autistic,
Yeah.
and he wants to use this app on his iPhone.
Uh-huh.
He has an old iPhone that was my wife's phone,
Okay.
but it won't update to the new iOS 13.
Okay. Got it.
The old phones, Apple won't update them.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
this one won't update. And he wants to use this app that requires the new
The new operating
version
system.
of iOS. And so he is mad because he wants me to buy him an iPhone 14.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
And I keep telling him, Connor, that's like $1,200. I can't afford an iPhone 14 for you.
No.
I can't
No.
afford one for me, much less one for you. So,
Yeah.
So anyway,
I-
With the $6 a gallon gas.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that will, I'm sure, resolve itself. Well, we'll see, because I'm going to be getting one of these Galaxy things, I think. So,
are you switching over?
yeah, I have an iPhone now. So, we'll see. Maybe I can pass that along. Maybe that'll be Christmas.
Yeah.
Anyway, what gets me about these small publishers, and I use the term loosely, is they're taking up the profits that the writer would normally receive. And there are a couple of them. One of them I published a book with, and I quickly saw what the problem was. So I withdrew my novel and self-published. And I see too many people going that direction now. And it doesn't make you more valid a writer because somebody called Distant Night Publishing puts their name on your book. But,
Yeah, it is too bad that there's plenty of publishers out there that people try. And I know when I taught self-publishing and my whole thing was published through KDP, it's free, it's free. And you get your royalties, and I mean you can't beat it.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of a learning curve, but that's okay,
There is with everything.
Sure. But
Now, with your
like
50 titles,
uh-huh.
do you find that you sell more books when you bring a new title out, and then it's a cascading effect?
It is, yes. It's interesting because, of course, every time I release a new book and I, blast it out to my mailing list and everything, and, Facebook and Twitter and whatever. And of course, that book it'll take maybe a week or two, but then it'll come to the top of the list, selling the best. But what's interesting is that I find the next best sellers on my list are like my number 2 and 3 book. So people are going back to the beginning and starting again. And then eventually my my freestanding books will show up. And so I can tell people are going back to my bibliography and going, well, what else does she have? And they'll start picking up my earlier books also. Yeah. So it
I know
just
you use the Kindle, what is it called? Where you're able to read free for a certain amount per
Kindle
month.
Select.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kindle Select. Right.
Yeah. Do you find that?
Yeah, and they pay you by the page.
Right.
Yeah, I do. Because actually I have more royalties coming in from that than I do from bought books. Mm-hmm. And of course, they pay you by page read, which I always thought was a little creepy, that somebody knows what page I'm in. But I think I get, but I do make more royalties from KDP Select than I do from people buying books. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know it. I know a lot of people left KDP when they started doing the letting people return the books, and I thought the Kindle Select was the answer to that, but
well, I only read on Audible.
Yeah, I think it's
Audible's great.
Oh, well, and yeah, it is. I mean, I think I've got maybe 20 books on Audible. So we're working our way through them.
Do you get to choose who narrates your book?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Matter of fact, I had a gal that she did my first 11 books in the series. And then when COVID hit, her day job just kind of blew up and she had no time. So it kind of languished for actually almost 2 years. And finally I asked her, I said, do you mind if I, get somebody else to continue with the series? And she said no, because she just didn't have the time. So I went through and you can use a filter aspect to say what kind of voice you want, male, female, what kind of accent, general American, New York, Southern, whatever. And the style, like relaxed or formal or whatever. And I just went through and picked the things that I liked. And I listened to probably maybe 20 different samples. And I said, okay, this woman is the one I like. This is the one I like. Sent her an email and, told her who I was and what I had and would she be interested? And she jumped at it. And she's already done, I think, 3 books and is charging on the 4th one. So it worked out great.
I really need to get into that. I've never put anything on Audible. I think the Dark Shadows Companion is big, but that was, everybody did their own sections for that. The publisher and one of the actors from the show voiced the history section, but I know a lot of people have done really well with it, and there's always a new wrinkle.
Well, I'm in the car 3 hours a day going back and forth to work.
Yeah.
I work
Wow.
for a company. I work for a company that makes motion picture cameras.
Oh, okay.
All the Marvel films were shot with our cameras.
Yeah.
It's Red Digital Cinema is the name of the company.
Oh,
So
okay. I've heard of the red cameras. Yeah.
yeah, that's us. Hang on a second. What, Connor? Oh, hang on.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Had you heard that this is the last season of Dead Files?
No, I haven't. But I haven't been watching them lately.
Yeah, I haven't either. I I
Yeah.
get out of seeing things, but yeah, Amy Allen commented to somebody at a convention that it would be her last year, and obviously
Oh,
Steve
okay.
Dawes
Because they've got, I don't know how many seasons, 15
forever.
or 20 or something. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, easily, and
Yeah. Huh.
it's and physical mediums
There you
don't
are.
do well physically.
Yeah.
Over time, so I think it's a good idea she's retiring.
Yeah.
Make sure the door's
Yeah.
locked when you go out,
The
'cause
but
Mr.
it
Congress and yelling about
they
the
still have a massive fandom, and
Oh, I'm
it's
sure.
so nice to see that sort of thing be mainstream.
And she'll see my haircut.
Yes, you will.
Well,
This is
and
Georgia.
I'll tell you, oh, Georgia, and
Yeah.
and you never run out of ghosts. You never run
Yeah.
out of stories. So,
No, ghosts will be eternal. And oh yeah, you got a haircut. You got them all cut.
Say hi to that Melody.
Hello, Georgie.
Hi.
She's a master.
Wait, where are you?
Richest one of us all.
Come on. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. Can you say hi
Hi.
to Miss Bowersock?
Hi.
hi, honey.
Anyway, that's the joy of the modern era is it
Okay,
all of a
no
sudden
kisses.
paranormal's normal.
Say bye.
And
Bye.
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 Hi, my husband.
I'm sorry.
When George
Okay, I'm
gets a
back.
little older, I'm going to have her on because she's actually had a paranormal experience. And
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
So their house has it's a very background haunting. They have a few things happen. And my sister-in-law she's now in residence as the house ghost. But
Uh-huh.
she, of course, she's, that's normal when your family passes.
Yeah.
Georgia says that she heard Grandma say, "I love you."
Oh,
That's what she told me.
Oh, nice.
wonderful. I
Yeah.
believe it.
Well,
Well,
yeah, and a lot of times kids are more open to that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I get sensations. I get sensations of my wife all the time here in the house. It doesn't scare me. It just feels like she's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I know. I had a friend when I was still in Tucson that lost her husband, and I went to see her. I don't know. It had been a couple of years, and I went over to her house, and we were having lunch and just catching up. And I just said, "So, do you ever hear from Bill?" And it was so funny because she looked at me and she and you could just see in her mind, she's thinking, how does she mean that?
Yeah.
Does she remember that he's dead? And finally, she thought it through. And finally, she said, yes, she did hear from him. So, we talked about that. But yeah, absolutely.
My friends all say it, except I have a couple of atheist friends who put up with us, but they'll find out eventually.
Yeah. Right.
They,
Right.
it's fascinating that now it's kind of like just out there, and I've had my experiences with my sister. Mark's had his experiences with Beverly, and
Uh-huh.
I had I had a very interesting thing that happened the other day. I do ancestry stuff, and
Hmm.
um,
Genealogy.
yes, genealogy. I was on
Uh-huh.
the ancestry side, and I heard from my grandfather's stepmother's family,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't have a whole lot of data on her, and I had, because I'm a completist. So
Yeah.
I sent them what I had,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't find her picture. I knew I
Huh.
had it,
Yeah.
so I'm looking on their side trying to find it, and I was looking for an hour, and I finally said, "Okay, Dora, I need your help finding your photo."
Hmm.
God is my witness.
Yes.
I screened down twice, and there it was.
Oh, is that right? Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. I believe it.
and
I believe it.
it's the weirdest thing when that happens, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they we live in a different world now, I think, and
Yeah.
most of my friends understand
Oh,
or
yeah.
believe that sort of.
Hmm. Yeah. I hear from my dad periodically. Yeah. I don't from my mom, and I think my mom just went full speed ahead, but but I do hear from my dad periodically.
Yeah, I don't hear from my mother because I think she's mad at me.
Oh, okay.
There were
Oh,
a couple of choices I had to make after she passed that I think she was upset about. So,
yeah.
but and my dad didn't
Oh,
get along very well.
okay.
But here, and I'm getting lots of feedback here.
All of a sudden,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's mom.
you're breaking up a little. Yeah.
Are
Uh,
we?
Oh, maybe.
how about me?
You're not. No, not to me.
All right, now I have a question for Melissa. You
Yes.
you live in Utah. You live in Utah, right?
Right.
Uh, do you have any experience with Skinwalker Ranch, or have any thoughts about all the books that are coming out about that?
I don't actually. I watched part of the show once, and I was a little put off because it just seems like that's another one of those shows that just hype it like crazy, but there's not a lot of proof there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I wasn't impressed. So I don't watch it.
Well, then I'm
It's
sure
funny
you haven't.
we were watching.
Then I'm sure you haven't
I,
been watching that blind bullfrog one either. That was really silly.
Well, the thing with
no, I think I missed the blind bull.
the thing
Well,
with
somebody
Skinwalker.
somebody bought a ranch right next to the Skinwalker Ranch, and basically made
Yeah.
a copy of the Skinwalker Ranch, but in a different place with crazy people doing it. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Well, the thing I
Okay.
think that is evidential with Skinwalker Ranch is that they aren't allowed to do some of the stuff they're trying to do. They're stopped. And there
Yeah.
shouldn't be any reason why they can't do these things. So the reason they don't have proof is something stopping them from getting it. And that's part of the
Maybe.
mystery, I think. But,
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, since you're local in that general vicinity, and you have a background with the Navajo Indian, And since the Indians are involved in Skinwalker, I thought you might have something hit you in the head or something there.
I think the most interesting evidence they pulled out of there is the Indian chanting that happened. But it didn't come over the TV show. It happened over the insider link via the live cams. And you can hear chanting.
Yeah. Oh.
So they went over, and it happened at 3 a.m. So one of the scientists went over to the tribe and said, guys, were you out chanting at 3 a.m.? And they looked at him and said, dude, we were sleeping. We're not out chanting.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it was fascinating. But I don't recommend anybody join their insider thing, because I had a lot of weird stuff start happening after I joined it. And so really? I quit. Yeah. The hitchhiker effect is no joke.
Okay. Well, you know, when I wrote the second book of my series, which is called Skinwalk, and it's about skinwalkers on the Navajo reservation, I found out about 2 Navajo rangers that actually investigate paranormal stuff on the reservation. Everything from ghosts and skinwalkers to Bigfoot, you know, and the stuff they told me was absolutely fascinating. I mean, I would call them up and talk for an hour or two, you know, and writing notes like crazy. And when we got all done, I said, okay, how much of this can I use, and what should I not use? And they said, you can use it all. So I said, okay. And I did, you know. I put it
I'm pretty sure I know the 2 people you're talking about. By the way, we're having a bit of a lag. So when I interrupt you, I'm not intending to.
No, I've noticed that. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm pretty sure I know the ones you're talking about. They're amazing. They'll go up there and give presentations and say, hey, we know all the white people will be laughing at us. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yes, Mark.
I would like to, have either one of you read the Louis L'Amour book on the Skinwalkers?
Yes.
Okay. No. I didn't know he had one.
One of his last books was about the Skinwalker effect, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, they pass it around.
I'll have to look that up. Is it pretty good?
I haven't read it. That's why I was wondering if either one of you had read it.
I'm not a big Louis L'Amour fan, because I kind of think, you know, but that book in particular is interesting. And
okay.
I know that they've been passing it around at Skinwalker Ranch. Eric, who's the main scientist, everybody talks about Travis, but the main scientist there is Eric Bard.
Okay.
And he's
Travis is a celebrity.
Yeah, Travis is the celebrity, and he's still very much a part of the team.
But he's on Ancient Aliens. Yeah. He's on a lot of similar shows.
And Eric lives there. Eric is there all the time. So he's seen some wild stuff, and he can't talk about it beyond, you know, verbally. But he's not allowed to write it down anyway. But anyway, the Louis L'Amour book is interesting. It's just more information, and he obviously did his research. And there's a lot of people who contribute to the dialogue when it comes to that, because everybody in that area has had things happen. My favorite story being, have you heard the story about the tribal police car that was raised up in the air?
No.
Yeah, it was lifted like 10 feet off the ground.
Really? Levitated?
Yeah.
Huh.
What's that?
Levitated.
Yeah. Yeah, levitated, exactly. And I was not, that term is kind of, but it was 10 feet off the ground, and they had people from, like, they call them the white caps, even though most of them are Native American too. But they called in the local police, and they came over and said, how's that happening? Like, I have no idea. It sort of reminded me about the video with the guy who's looking up, and there's a broom floating above him. And,
Yeah.
but nobody got any video of it. So, unless there are pictures, I tend to doubt. But there are 22 cops who were there who say, yeah, it happened. So,
really? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
These Skinwalker books, I look for them whenever they're on Audible. And Ryan Skinner has done 2, but his books contradict each other when you listen to them. Yeah, he goes one way on one book, and then the next book he says something completely different. So it's like somebody's not paying attention to their own writing.
Well, Cheryl has been co-writing with him, so that may be a factor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So maybe he had somebody else write the second one.
Yeah.
Still had his name on it.
I would think that would tend to undermine his credibility a little bit, though.
Yeah. It's not something you want to see happen with a writer with their facts.
The one I like on there, if you want to listen to one, it's called The Hunt for the Skinwalker.
Yeah.
And that was pretty good, because that goes all the way back to the people long before. What's the last family that sold it to Bigelow?
Oh, yeah. I can never remember their name. Sherman.
It was
the Shermans.
Well, one of them's name was Tom.
Yeah. Tom Sherman is
and he's the one that went to work for Bigelow as
the overseer
ranch director. Yeah,
and he those people had just horrible things happen to them, and the prior people that when the Shermans purchased the ranch, there were locks on the inside of their doors
and outside.
Yeah.
Really?
You expect them on the outside, but on the inside, and they had poltergeist activity that happened all the time. It was just amazing.
Wow.
So but again, it's hearsay, but it's still fascinating. Have you read Skinwalkers at the Pentagon?
No.
It was written by George Knapp and Dr. Eric Davis, who is an intelligence official and also a physicist. And
at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they wrote about the hitchhiker experience that happened. And there was an intelligence agent who was followed home by what looked like a human sort of crossed with a wolf.
Okay.
And the effect was like a dog man, I guess they called him.
Yeah.
And he saw it. His family saw it. And these are people that the government employs. So one would expect some degree of truth from them. And they're not the only ones. There's been a series of people who've had, the poltergeist activity, again, more supposed hallucinations that they all see. How that's a hallucination, I don't know. But
We need to let Melissa promote her books here. We've only got 14 minutes left.
oh, I'm sorry.
We have to make sure we get her information for her books.
We get talking like friends. And anyway, yes, Melissa, what do you have coming up?
Well, right now I'm writing book 36 of my series. Like I said, I just released 35. I don't know, last month, I guess. The series just keeps rolling along, which is fine with me. You know, my readers are always chomping at the bit for a new book, so I'm happy to oblige. And as long as the ideas keep coming, and I don't have to, you know, I never want to get to the point where I have to mechanically plot out a book. You know,
Right.
when I reach that point, I'll stop writing them. But as long as they just come to me, what was interesting with the last book, it's called Trojan Walk, and it concerns the Greek mythology of Cassandra. Do you know about Cassandra?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, I was in the kitchen and I was doing, I don't know what I was doing, and this ABBA song came on that I had never heard, and it was called Cassandra. And as soon as I heard the name Cassandra, I thought about Cassandra in Greek mythology, who was given the gift of prophecy, but nobody would believe her, you know. And she's the one that warned the Trojans not to bring the horse in, the Trojan horse in, and they didn't pay any attention to her, and they brought it in, and of course that was the fall of Troy. By the time the song was over, I had jotted down the whole book on a piece of paper. I mean, you know, the whole idea. And, you know, after that, it was just like full steam ahead. So I love it when a book just drops in like that, almost completely whole, you know, and all you have to do is just write it down.
The first A Room in the House of the Ancestors book was like that. I got it dropped on me all of a sudden. And it's a wonderful gift when that happens.
It is.
The second one was harder. I never do more than 1, 2, maybe 3 in a series. So you're amazing. You're magic. I'm I'm a plotter.
Well, and you know, the funny thing is, I mean, for years, I swore I would never, ever, ever, ever write a series because I didn't want to get trapped in something. And I didn't want to, like I say, have to plot it out mechanically. You know, if it wasn't inspired, I wasn't going to do it. And I just wasn't, I railed against series, you know. And then all of a sudden, when I wrote my first Travis book, I got done with it and I thought, you know what, there's more to that. So I wrote the second Travis book, and then that felt complete. That was good. But then when I started the Sam and Lacey series, I don't know, it was just like a floodgate opening, you know, and it just keeps going. It's the weirdest thing.
Readers sometimes don't understand that we're really not in control. Our muses,
that's the truth.
They're back there, you know, working us. And I've had characters take over whole novels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. It's funny that I had a conversation with my husband once about a book. The book that I wrote called Stone's Ghost. I thought it was going to be like the Canterbury Ghost, kind of lighthearted, you know, and fluffy. Yeah. And when I got into it, all of a sudden it got really dark and really moody. And it just wasn't what I planned at all. And I was telling my husband about it, and he said, "What are you talking about? You're writing the book. How can it not be what you want?" I said, "I don't know. But they just don't go the way you think they're going to go."
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They often. I say that as a joke. Obviously we're writing it, but
Yeah.
it does sometimes feel like there are other elements in the mix. Now, you mentioned
Definitely.
that
Yeah.
you were teaching a course in self-publishing. Are you still doing that?
You know what? I'm not. When I was 30, I taught through OLLI, which was the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, and I
Right.
was teaching through that at my local library. But there's not anything like that up here. So far, I haven't been teaching at all here in Utah. But I did for several years. I taught down there, and my classes
Start
were
one.
always full. You know.
Start your own place in Utah.
There you go.
Well, yeah, that's an idea. That's an idea.
Want to.
Yeah.
But I think you have so much information. You're a wise lady of quill, and it's funny because I always look for your posts on Facebook. I love your doggy, and
Oh, thank
love
you.
your previous doggy too, and
Yeah.
Bud. Yes, Mark. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, before we go off the air, wanted to mention I listen to a lot of series on Audible. And one thing I have seen, I'm a sci-fi fan, so most of what I listen to is science fiction. And
Okay.
there are a lot of series, and a lot of times I'll listen to the first in the series, and there'll be a particular character. Like this one series, I can't remember the name of it, but the captain of the ship was the one that interested me. And then in the second book of the series, she kills him off.
Yeah.
And I lost complete interest in it because it just wasn't the same book anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I know,
people do that.
Yeah, and you know what? As authors, we have to be aware of that, because in my series, Sam's grandfather is, I don't know, 86 years old or whatever at this point, and every once in a while I'll get an email from a reader saying, "Don't kill Ben. Don't kill off Ben." So I'm thinking I'm going to have Ben around until he's 112.
There you go.
I don't dare kill him.
Well, do what they do.
I think a lot of people would be very mad at me.
I saw a book very similar to that, and where one of the characters died, and they brought him back by having him reincarnated.
Oh, there you go.
And the person came to the family the person he was reincarnated to came to the house, had never been there before, and told him, I know all this stuff about you, and it turned out they all brought him in, and he became part of the family, and he filled that role of that character in the book, and it was. I thought it was rather clever. I think.
What?
Whoever.
Although there would have to be a gap. Yeah. There would have to be a gap between the time that he was reincarnated and when he grew up.
Yeah, there was something to do with she had written this book, and I think she killed him off early in the book, and then she got enough feedback from people that didn't like the fact that she killed him off, that in the next book of the series, which I don't know was how far down the line, she brought this other character in that was him reincarnated. So I think she got wise to the fact that her readers didn't like her killing them off.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, I'll tell you what, I had a book early on where I killed a horse, and my husband still has not forgiven me for that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's, you have to make choices in books, and in some things, like on Dark Shadows, they just bring him back as a new character.
Yeah.
I have to very quickly. Yes, I know we're getting up there.
Yeah, and matter of fact, my battery is running low. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm afraid it's going to cut me off.
It's all right if it does.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quickly, happy birthday, Grayson, who had. I won't say how old she'd
You're
be
welcome.
today because if
On a
I did,
podcast.
she would slap me.
Thank you, Joe.
But anyway, I promised some family members that I would do that. So she was like a
Okay.
second mom to me.
Okay, nice.
Anyway, well, let's wrap this up. Melissa, you are an angel. Thank
Oh.
you very much for being with us today.
Well,
And-
you're very well.
I fear we have lost her. We have. Okay. Well, Mark, you take it easy. Have a great week. The
All
rest
right,
of
we're
you
actually
have a
going to
great
cut off. We're actually going to cut off early for a change.
week. Wow.
Yeah,
Boy.
I need to go use the little boy's room. So,
Okay, well, you go.
Melissa, if you can still hear us, thank you for being with us.
And I will wrap things up. So you guys have a great week. And don't do anything I would do. Because, yeah, who needs that kind of jeopardy in your life? Bless you. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.